and welcome back to the Parents Awareness Program PAP. My name is Poor. The story that I will be covering in this podcast episode is one of the most memorable stories that I've heard to date of parents basically being awarded for their own negligence, for their own failure to properly supervise their own children. It was in April of 2010 when 3 children tragically suffocated to death after they were said to have accidentally locked themselves in the trunk of an old car parked in the yard of what sounds like one of the deceased children's place of dwelling. The parents of the deceased children then filed a lawsuit against the city, claiming that the police officers who were sent out to locate the missing children failed to find their children in time. The police officers were blamed for failing to follow proper protocols and procedures in searching for the missing children. The parents received a huge financial settlement from the city of Camden, New Jersey, for what I believe was their own negligence and failure to properly supervise and protect their own kids. Failure to follow safety protocols and procedures to keep their property safe and thus their children safe. After so many years, I still feel like this story is worth mentioning. It's the poster story that resonates with me and tells me how much some parents feel entitled and confident that the state is totally responsible for every area of their children's lives and totally right that they, the parents, are not responsible for even protecting and supervising their own children, even when they are home in their care. If or when something happens to their children, even under their watch, it's still the state's fault, just like in this case. With regards to this story, there are a lot of questions that can arise from this incident, but I will just highlight a few points. Number 1, it was reported that the children's ages were 5, 6, and 11, and if my memory serves me correctly, I believe that it was reported at the time that the 11-year-old was developmentally delayed. Again, if my memory is serving me correctly, this would mean that 11-year-old's mental capacity would not have been on par with his age. In other words, his mental capacity would be younger than his age. So therefore, he could not have been left for a minute to supervise the 5 and 6-year-olds. Number 2, I got the impression based on the news that the car in which those children perished belonged to one of the deceased children's parents or another family member. If so, why didn't those parents take precautionary measures to secure their own car trunk so that their children could not potentially lock themselves inside? As parents, we should know potential dangers in our homes and take protective measures to keep our kids safe. Number 3, if those parents who have now collected their settlement from the city were paying attention to their kids, they would have known where their kids went. Let's be logical. I would imagine that it would have taken some time for those young kids to open the car trunk, climb up, and position themselves into it. It baffles me to this day how they had no idea where their kids, whom they should have been watching, were, but those police officers should have known. Number 4, did those parents have any idea that their children would play or ever played in that car? Parents who properly supervise their children would know exactly where their children play and what they play with or in. The same way that those parents felt right to blame the city for not following protocols and proper procedures in finding their children. Why didn't they know that it's possible that their children could have been in that car? Why didn't they feel like they had the moral responsibility to know where their kids could possibly be? Why didn't they see when their kids went into that car? Imagine, they do not know where to look. They had no idea where their children play, where their children went, but the police officers, the city, must have and should have known. In a situation like this and how it played out with this city, it makes me unfortunately believe that the state encourages the negligence of parents by readily taking responsibility for the negligence of parents. Thus, parents do not have to feel responsible for even watching their own kids. I also have another question. Were those parents blamed or charged in any way for their failure to properly supervise their own kids? Am I missing something here, or am I not understanding how the system works? As I see it and understand it, it's always our responsibility as parents to know where our children are and to protect them always while they are under our care. While they are away at school, for example, then it's the state's responsibility to make sure that they are safe. As parents, we must know when it's our responsibility to protect our own children, and we must be responsible. That's it for this episode. I will be doing more topics on parenting, so please subscribe to this channel by clicking the red subscribe button below. Also, it would be nice to hear your thoughts on this topic, so please leave a comment. Your inputs are valuable. If this message spoke to you, please hit the like button. It would also be much appreciated if you share this valuable content with a friend or family member. Thank you for listening. Until next time, parents, make the correct changes.